Web Marketing That Works, episode 45.
Welcome to the Web Marketing That Works podcast. Come behind the scenes of real-life marketing experiments and listen in as amazing guests confess the truth about what really works. Now, here are your hosts, Adam Franklin and Toby Jenkins.
Hi there, it's Toby Jenkins from the Web Marketing That Works podcast. This is the show for people who love marketing on the web. And today you're going to be taken behind the scenes of the 7-Day Startup, a new book by Dan Norris, and we've got Dan Norris on as our guest, so it's great to hear from him. Now, Dan and the story behind the book is about how Dan took his business from zero, as in starting it, to paying customers in 7 days, and then what he's done subsequently to grow it at 15% per month for 14 months, month after month. So it's a fantastic backstory. There are two really critical strategies that Dan talks about in terms of promoting the book that I think would be relevant to any marketer, particularly how he's been able to activate his audience to create a group of 500 ambassadors for his book, and then also how he plans on leveraging the book because he plans on giving it away for free. So that's a really interesting part of our chat too. This show is brought to you by our new book, Web Marketing That Works, and specifically the bonus 33 free templates that go with it. So if you'd like to jump on over to bluewiremedia.com.au/book, then you can grab those templates very quickly and then we can get onto the show. Thanks so much. Great. Well, Dan, welcome to the show. Great to have you back.
Thanks. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it was an awesome episode, number 4, how to create killer online content. So that was one of our early days. Mate, it's good to have you back to talk about your new book, The 7-Day Startup. Do you want to talk us through sort of why you've written the book?
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to think where I was at when I was on your show last time, but about a year ago, I was sort of in a position where I'd sold my last business and I'd started a software company that just plain failed, and I spent all of my money and used up all of the time that I had in my runway, and I just had really no options left to the point where I was looking for jobs, and I was kind of a couple of weeks away from having to move back to Brisbane and start looking for jobs. And that was when I came up with the idea of WP Curve, and I sort of, rather than procrastinating on the idea or worrying about what I was scared of or whether or not it was a good idea or what my entrepreneurial friends thought, I really had no choice but to launch it because I had no time. So I launched it inside 7 days. I'd come up with the idea, the name, the website, the service. I launched it and I had paying customers. And in fact, within a week, I had exactly the same number of recurring customers as I had with the previous business that I'd built over a year. So that kind of triggered me. And since then, I would probably talk about what's happened since then, but it's obviously continued to grow. And that process of going through launching so quickly, I thought is probably something that other people would be interested in who were in a similar position. And I kind of built out the idea and started writing a lot of content on it. And before I knew it, I'd written a book.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly an incredible story, really, because in the book you say that you've had sort of 15% plus month-on-month growth since you started WP Curve, right?
Yeah, so I think I had 10 customers in the first week, and then I think I was up to about 30 in the first month, and I think our latest count is about 500 customers, and we're up over 37 grand a month now, and I think it's been 14 months. So yeah, every month it's just gone up. And we're up to 21 total in the team, me and a co-founder overseas, and the rest either admin or developers overseas. And yeah, and other things have taken off as well, like our content's really taken off, and then we're getting a lot more traffic to our site. Our email list is growing, and just been this massive ball of momentum.
Yeah, and that's something you touch on in the book, is that concept of momentum quite a lot throughout, hey? Your sort of previous business where you just couldn't find the momentum versus WP Curve, which has found momentum.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are looking for, like a quick summary of exactly what they're doing wrong so they can fix it. But in reality, that's not really how business works in my experience. It's like you could be doing all the right things, but for whatever reason, it's just not happening. And I've definitely been in that situation where 99% of what I've done has been pretty good, but it just hasn't resonated, and I just hadn't got to that point where you're just growing and everything's going in your favor. And at the same time with WP Curve, we've made plenty of mistakes, just as I have in the past, but because we sort of launch quickly, and we didn't focus on a big launch. We sort of focused more on a slow growing process and building a business that could scale, or maybe grow is a better word than scale, because we're not big enough to really call it scale. But because we took that approach, I think despite the fact that we have made some mistakes, that momentum has really kept us going. So I think I touch on that concept a bit in the book, and really the main message in the book is don't take a year to launch your idea like I did. Take a week, and then rather than make decisions that you're making based on assumptions, make them after you launch, which they'll be based on proper customer data and customer behavior, and you can forget about all the other stuff that you're thinking about before you launch.
Yeah, I love one of the quotes that you've got in the book as a sort of a breakout quote is people don't know what they want until they're forced to open their wallets. That's an absolute cracker.
Yeah,
as opposed to sort of the validation of ideas and, that a lot of people talk about with landing pages and collecting email addresses and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, I go into a bit of detail on that because I think I was guilty of being an over-optimizer before, which is a concept that I don't talk about in the book, but I think I'll think that through a bit more because I think you get in that trap where you're just optimizing every bit of what you do and you're just kind of analyzing so much data that you actually miss what's important. And I did all kinds of validation experiments with Informly, and even things like surveying people, asking them exactly, will you buy this? Will you pay for this? If I build it, how much will you pay for it? Is this a problem for you? Like really detailed things like that, where people would say yes, they would, and I'd build it and they still wouldn't pay me. And pretty much any other type of validation I talk about in the book as being something that really for me doesn't work. And I think there's probably ways to make it work if you've got funding or if you're an experienced entrepreneur and you've got time to figure it out, or a team. But this book is really written for bootstrappers and people who are self-funding their idea, and probably mostly for first-time entrepreneurs who want to get to a place where they've got a business supporting them rather than a job. And in those situations, those kind of ideas just aren't a good fit.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that part of, that's kind of the introduction, is sort of debunking a lot of that validation techniques, I guess, or as you say, particularly for first-time entrepreneurs and bootstrappers. And I think that's an interesting concept to sort of go against the grain there and almost pick a fight with that school of thought in a way.
Well, I didn't think of it that way, but I had Noah Kagan lined up to do the foreword for the book, and he read it and he's like, actually, this is not stuff I agree with. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, actually, that's fair enough. There's some of this stuff is kind of the opposite of what you say. So that's cool. I mean, there's plenty of schools of thought out there, and I've written this for people who are in the position that I was in, and I hope it's useful for them. I think it will be.
Yeah, I guess there's a million ways to skin the cat, right? And this is your story. And that's actually one of the things that I really enjoyed about the book, that it's just so honest and transparent. And you talk about transparency with your financial numbers early on, but you've clearly taken that ethos into the book as well.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think I pay attention to the kind of content that I write that people really like. And that validation post is one of the most popular posts I've ever done. And that really sort of formed the idea for the book. I built it all around that. And I think back on that point about going out and kind of selling your idea or validating your idea and being that guy who does that, like someone like Noah or, name any other entrepreneur who's successful, are probably really good at that particular job. And that's never been something I've been good at, like that kind of just going out and just like selling. And so I kind of also wanted to write something that would help people who are more like me, who don't really actually want to go out and sell and aren't good at and don't feel comfortable with it. And that's not really the reason we got into entrepreneurship, is not to go out and sell shit to people. And so I think there's a lot of people out there that are like that want to kind of actually use whatever skill they've got. And the marketing section of the book, I talk about a lot of different options you can use for marketing. I think I talk about you guys and your physical events, that kind of thing.
Oh, thanks, mate. I must have missed that bit.
Yeah, well, like for you, I remember when you guys were, like a few years ago when I started following you guys, you were doing all of those face-to-face events. And that's cool for you, but I'm sure if I did that, it would completely fail because I'm no good at it and I don't like doing it. So I think that there's definitely a lot to be said for, like, test a bunch of stuff, that's cool, but work out what it is that you are actually good at that resonates with people. And maybe that'll take a little while to work that out, but when you do work that out, you can really hit a sweet spot. And I think that's what's happened with WP Curve and with my content, because I've landed on something that I really like doing, and it seems to resonate with people, compared with before, like my old agency, I'd try everything to market it and just nothing worked.
Was it a founder product fit as opposed to a market product fit?
Yeah. I think that concept needs to be talked about more, because I think this again is a bootstrappers thing. It's like, if you're a funded company and you can hire in every single skill that you need to run an amazing startup, then all you need to worry about is the product and the market. Whereas if you're a solo founder, then you're underfunded, you're understaffed, you're under-resourced, you're underskilled. Even if you're not a solo founder, even if you're a couple of guys like me and Alex, you can't possibly have everything covered. No. So you need to have that fit between you and what you're offering. And I think you need to kind of feel whether or not it's right. And I know, like, I never felt with my agency that it was a good fit, because I was competing against other agencies where they really suited that local sales, local kind of agency model. Whereas with this, what I do now is really in my sweet spot, doing a lot of the content, a lot of online stuff, building an online team. That's something that fits with me really well. So I think that's definitely something people should think about if they're starting a business. And in the book, I go through a bunch of criteria for business ideas, and that's one of the ones I talk about.
Yeah, enjoyable daily tasks. Hey, made a note of that as I was reading through too, because, you know, as you say, sure, follow your passions, all well and good, but you want to make money if you're bootstrapping, and quickly. And
yeah.
So, you know, you just enjoying it is a damn good start.
Yeah, and I and most entrepreneurs I know have started businesses. They've just kind of realized afterwards that it was a really stupid idea to start the business, because they end up spending their day doing horrible jobs. And so it seems to me that you probably should think about that when you're coming up with your idea.
Yeah, ideally. So the book is an absolute crack. I'm actually planning on getting this book for my sister, Dan, actually, because she's just come back from London and then a couple of months in Africa and wondering what she needs to do, and she's keen to get into the entrepreneurial side of things. So I'll get that to her, and hopefully she'll have some stories for your blog in a week or two.
That'd be cool, yeah.
But mate, let's talk about how you're going about marketing the book as well, because I've signed up as an ambassador for you. You know, can you talk us through some of the concepts that you're hoping to use when you're marketing this book too?
Yeah, well, thanks for that. That's really cool. So when I started writing the book, I sort of decided that I was going to give it away for free. And I think I was sort of just thinking, put it up on Kindle and put it on my site. And I didn't really want it to be like a really big distraction, because we're quite busy with WP Curve and we want to make that the main focus. But then I kind of spent a lot of time. I didn't actually spend a lot of time writing it. I spent a hell of a lot of time editing it, going back and forth with the editor and the formatter. I'm still going back and forth with the formatter. I think I checked the emails. I've sent him about 150 emails, or like in the thread. Boy. So, and it's been going on for months. So it's so much work that goes into it. And so we thought, well, we better actually make somewhat of an effort to market it. So I'm working with a guy called Tom Morks, I think his site is tommorks.com, and he's just working with me for a month.
Is that M-O-O-K-S?
M-O-R-K-E-S.
M-O-R-K-E-S.
Yeah.
I'll put that in the show notes too.
Yeah, he's just working with me for a month. And he's marketed books before, which is good, because I haven't, and I wouldn't have a clue how to do it except for the kind of the good content that's out there before. And I've got friends who've written, like, I know you guys, and I've chatted to you about it, and I've chatted to Chris Ducker about what he did with his book and things like that. But so we're just sort of going to go hard for a month, and then that's it. I mean, I'm not going to spend my life trying to market a book. But so in terms of what we've got planned, I've done a lot of podcast interviews and a lot of guest posts for the book. I think probably close to about 30.
Wow.
I've actually put out a lot of the content of the book. I would say almost all of the content from the book has gone out somewhere. A lot of it's gone up on WP Curve, a lot of it's gone on Medium, a lot of it's gone to guest posts or podcast interviews. So I kind of...
If someone wanted, they could go and piece it all together.
Well, they could, but it's going to be free anyway, so you may as well just get it for free on Amazon. And that was sort of part of it as well, is because I don't have the patience to write a bunch of content and then just not say anything about it and then sell it as a book. It's just not how I work. The fact that it's free means I don't feel guilty about putting some of it out beforehand. But we've done a lot of that, and I emailed my list and asked if anyone wanted to be an ambassador, and I had about 500 people sign up for that, which is really cool.
That's amazing. How big is your list these days, Dan?
It's about 13,000.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so, and I think I had 1,500 who were, and they get my weekly email, and I think I had 1,500 who signed up to be notified about the book, and then I think I've had about 500 sign up as an ambassador. About 350 of those have joined the Facebook group, where they're sort of reading I'm not sure what the word is for it, but like a pre-release version of the book. and writing reviews and then sending out tweets. And hopefully on Monday they'll help me share it and spread the news. And I'm doing a bunch. I'm actually presenting this weekend at WordCamp in Sydney, and I'm doing a couple of those sorts of things. I'm presenting in DC and Dynamite Circle's an entrepreneurs forum. I'm doing that in October, and I'm doing the Chris Ducker event next year in May. So I'm doing, and that kind of stuff is stuff I've never done before. So that's really just all come about because of the book, and I want to kind of get the message out there about the book. I emailed a bunch of like influencer sort of friends and told them about it. Hopefully they'll share it. And then obviously I'll email my own list as well. Eventually we'll put it up on the site, but I think it has to be only on Amazon when we launch next week.
Right. And you were saying in our conversation, actually yesterday I think it was, that Amazon, you can only have it for free up on Amazon for a certain amount of time. Is that right? Yeah,
I'm probably not the best person to talk about this because I've sort of just told Tom to like look after the whole thing. But my understanding of how it works is I just wanted to make it free and put it everywhere because I don't intend to make money on it. But my understanding is if it's on Amazon and it's free, it has to be exclusively on there or something like that, and it can only be free for a certain amount of time, and then you have to charge something for it. So I'll just charge whatever the minimum is, charge like 99 cents or something if they make me. And I think after 3 months, you can do what you want with it. So I'll then just put it up as a PDF on our site.
Awesome.
And I was going to do an audio version as well, which I think I've run out of time, and I've been sick this week, and so I thought I'd sound a bit weird if I did an audio version. But hopefully next week I'll get a chance to do that because I'm not a big reader of books. I prefer audio, so I'd like to do like a podcast or like a downloadable audio version.
Cater for that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Adam really loves his audio books, listens to them on runs and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So when are you actually releasing it?
Yeah, so it's this Monday. I'm not sure when this is going out. You're going to have to be pretty efficient if it goes out before Monday, but it's 29th of September.
29th September.
And
okay.
Yeah, it'll be on Amazon. I think it's only going to be on Amazon for free for a week, but it'll be whatever ridiculously cheap after that. But I think if you buy the physical copy, you'll have to pay for it to be printed and shipped, which is obviously going to cost some amount of money. I actually have no idea how much that's going to cost, but just get the Kindle version because it'll be free.
Yeah, nice. Will you have it actually available as a downloadable PDF from your website as well? Or?
Well, I don't think I'm able to do that until after a couple of months, so I'm going to have to wait.
That Amazon window is closed.
Yeah, so after 3 months, I think we'll actually put it up as like the main sort of opt-in bribe on a section of our site dedicated to like starting businesses, because our blog, we talk about starting businesses, then we have a whole bunch of stuff around processes and online marketing, which is all probably relevant to people who've got businesses already. So I'd like to put like this as like the opt-in bribe for all the content that relates to starting a business once that window's passed and get more people on the emails.
Yeah, oh mate, it's awesome bait. I've really enjoyed it. It just seems like it's a great read. It's easy. There's some great stories. So yeah, there was a particular story about a mechanic about enjoying your daily tasks. You know, the book is full of stories. Do you mind sharing that one?
Yeah, so when I was at uni, I was a bit lost, and I like cars, so I went to, I think my dad actually, it's pretty funny because my dad, I think, lined up this interview for a mechanics apprenticeship I think it was at Ford in the Valley, and I did pretty well on the exam because I think I was probably pretty smart. I just didn't actually enjoy paying attention at uni. So, and then after I did the exam, the guy kind of said to me, like, why do you want to be a mechanic? And I said, well, because I like cars. And he actually said to me, well, John Laws likes cars too, but he doesn't fix them himself. And I think in the book I put Jay Leno because I know he likes cars, and most of my audience is overseas and they probably don't have a clue who John Laws is, but he did say John Laws.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, but I think I'm pretty sure my dad hooked that up because I don't think he wanted me to be a mechanic.
Right. Oh, he actually set that up.
I think so. He never admitted it, but I think that's what happened.
Oh, life lessons from your dad.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good. And mate, you sort of talked about the book being email bait, I guess, for you, or, you know, exchange value and landing page or flagship content or whatever you want to call this, premium content. But how do you sort of see it fitting in with the overall story of WP Curve, or do you see it as a standalone piece, or, you know, where does it fit for you?
I just see it as a piece of content marketing. I mean, we've done a whole bunch of different types of content. We give away free plugins. We put podcasts out there, and we put big guides up there. And I don't think this is any different. The only difference is it's had a lot more fine tuning. A lot of my content is pretty raw because I write it myself, and I'm not that good at picking out typos and structuring things, and I'm probably not actually that good a writer. I'm just good at writing a lot of stuff. So,
Oh, I like the fact that your writing is very you. You know, it's really consistent voice all the time.
yeah, and I mean, you can get away with, you know, whatever you want really on a blog or on Medium or something. You don't really have to be all nice and polished, but I'm actually hoping this gets out to a new audience. Like, I'm hoping if the ambassadors, you know, like and do some reviews and, you know, share it and stuff, I'm hoping that I get to more of that traditional book type audience, because I don't think anyone who is in that, the type of people that go to a shop and buy a book, I don't know if they're really reading my blog. I think it's more sort of online entrepreneurs and things. So I would really like it if I could get to a sort of a new audience that I don't get to with the other stuff. If I can't, I probably won't do it again, because I would rather just write a lot of blog posts and do episodes like this. It's a lot easier.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, hey, for the book.
Well, yeah, I mean, so it's a lot of work that I don't enjoy. Like, I love the writing part of it, but all of the going back and making it perfect and just the constant emails and the, you know, the punctuation and the bloody grammar. And I mean, that stuff is just well beyond me. And thankfully, I had a hell of a lot of help on this one. I had Derek Murphy from, he's got a lot of websites, so I'm not sure ever which one to say, but he's got Creative Indie Covers, I think is his site, and Alyssa from Writing Business Well. And Alyssa did the editing and Derek did all the formatting, and I've sent them probably 150 emails each over the last 3 or 4 months, and they've just been doing all of that stuff, so that's really awesome.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I know Adam and I found the editing process when we wrote our book. The first draft that we submitted was virtually embarrassing, and if it wasn't for the editor who pulled it back to something that... See, I don't think we would have even been able to edit our first draft if we'd just gone over it and tried to read it and edit it ourselves. You just need that extra set of eyes, don't you, and a fresh outlook.
Yeah, well, I'm not exactly sure what normal editors do, but I know in this case, like Alyssa and her team, they didn't just go in and fix up consistencies and typos and grammatical stuff, but they also kind of restructured a lot of it, you know, and read it and told me what doesn't make sense and told me, like, this story's not adding a lot of value, you should pull it out, or, you know, you need more examples here, go and do some more research and get more examples. Like, they really affected what is the final product of the book. So I don't know if what she gave me is above and beyond what a normal editor does, but that was a huge help, because I think when it was in its first form, it only took me about a week and a half to write it. Because I had a lot of this stuff that I'd written before, and I sort of reused a bit of stuff, and I had content in my head, and I also write very quickly. I can probably write 5,000 or 6,000 words or more in a day. I can probably do more. Oh, actually, I did 13 blog posts once in a day, and they're about 1,000 words each. So, yeah. So I can write quickly is no problem, but actually turning in like something of this size into something that's legible and it looks and feels like a book is a whole different thing.
Yep. Oh, that's great. Well, congratulations, mate. It's awesome. It's great to see it. It's a fantastic read, and I'd really recommend anyone else who's interested in it to rip in and grab a copy of the 7-Day Startup. And I'll make sure that we've got links in the show notes and everything else, Dan, and really hope that our listeners enjoy it as well. And best of luck with it, mate. I hope it goes gangbusters for you.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks. So, yeah, if you've got a URL to send people, you can, or you can send them to my site. I've got a URL up on my site.
Oh, excellent. What's that?
Just wpcurve.com/7-day startup.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, and I've just got a landing page up there with a couple of quotes. By the time this goes out, there'll be a landing page up there with a couple of quotes, and it just links off to Amazon. And the other thing I've put up there is I've put a resources page. I've put every quote from the book with a click to tweet. So if you want to share some of the tweets that we talked about, some of those quotes, and I've put a resources page, which has probably got close to 100 different links and resources on it, and a whole bunch of like downloadable PDFs and Google Docs that relate to all the content in the book, and all of that is free and publicly available as well.
Fantastic. Wow, that's awesome. What a resource. Any other ways people can follow your work if they're not already?
Yeah, the best way is to go to wpcurve.com/blog, and that's where all of my content is. In the footer, I've got an email sign up, and every week I send an email about something new that I'm thinking about or writing about or working on. And I always read and reply to all those emails. So if anyone wants to email me, they can do that at dan@wpcurve.com, or just like friend me on Facebook or on Twitter. I'm at the Dan Norris, THE Dan Norris. Follow me on Twitter, because I don't have enough followers on Twitter. So it'd be good to get more. I've only got like 2,000.
We'll pump that then in the show notes.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, thanks so much for joining us. As I say, mate, it's really interesting, and best of luck with the book, and look forward to seeing the results.
Yeah, thanks heaps for the support. I'm really grateful, and thanks for having me on.
Pleasure. So that wraps up the interview with Dan Norris. So thanks very much to Dan for joining me today. The show was brought to you by the Web Marketing That Works book, and specifically the bonus 33 free templates that go with it. So that URL, if you want those templates, is bluewiremedia.com.au/book. Please, we're open to feedback and questions, so would love to hear on either email or Twitter. My email is toby.jenkins@bluewiremedia.com.au or @Toby_Jenkins on Twitter. So thanks so much. If you've enjoyed the show, we'd love you to leave a review on iTunes, and look forward to seeing you next time.